something bulky. So in other words, like a Matilda or like a Kaja might be out of the question here. But we have seen them play an Edith before, so that might be one of like a grog. Might be good to try to secure the jungle and try to shoo away the presence of Baxia.
Wow, we're already starting out with the Bruno as well as Matilda as well. So you can expect to have really huge team fight potential coming out of burnxflash. Meanwhile, you did say it earlier that there is going to be an Angela that can come on board anytime, and smartomega brings it to the table alongside with that Airflow. So I think like this is a very steady composition coming out of smartomega, where you'll be able to really scale into the late game, and when you have
You know that, okay, this traditional combo, it cannot go wrong. Hard guard onto Iritel, increase movement speed towards the late game, gives a little bit more shield, and of course, Angela onto Iritel, able to give up a certain amount of damage to support. I mean, this is a traditional combination by now, and I don't think it's a surprise that when you pick the Iritel and the Angela together to a burnxflash, so I'm pretty sure that they have an idea on how to counter that. And in my opinion, the best way to counter that is, well, just as any late game conversation, is to stop them from farming early on.
Yeah, I think that's definitely going to be the way to do so as well. Now, starting off onto the second phase of bans, I guess that on the side of smartomega, they could basically find a way to lock down a lot of all these pull over onto the solo lane, or should I say the EXP lane, if that's ever the case. And I guess they would be able to just weed out a lot of all these other options. If we're looking at safer picks, well, Paquito is going to be taken out. So I will do wonder what else is going to be left on the table where Varroth is also being eliminated. I guess that they're going to go for something a little bit more old school in such a way. What do you think?
Well, yeah, I guess the Dyrov ban is also to kind of protect the Baxia, because Baxia is going to be bulky, it's going to be tanky. So you want to remove like one of the tank shredders. So I think that's probably what they're thinking. So if there's no stopping the Baxia, then it's definitely look at like the jungle on burnxflash. So you picked up the Joy. Joy has a lot of mobility, able to run away, can deal decent amount of damage towards the late game, but right now, as we can see here, there's no big, bulky, tanky heroes on the side of burnxflash. So I do wonder like what's going to be their answer. So if I were to like kind of have that thought process, I think the XP laner, they're going to pick up something bulky and probably go for a little bit more tanky build, maybe like the Fedrin. A lot is banned out, so based on the previous data, Fedrin might be a possible pick for burnxflash on the XP lane.
Yeah, that's definitely pretty possible. They're really going to be looking for a solid frontliner to be able to lead the charge, because you need to create that space for Bruno in order to make things work as well. So the pool isn't really too huge at the moment. I'm not too sure what exactly will be the safest of picks, especially when you have to deal with all of that. And their answer is Minotaur. Now, this is going to be a really gutsy move, because you need a lot in order to get that charge on Minoan Fury to knock everybody up. And I mean, getting into range for Irrital, this is going to be a little bit problematic. And I like the change coming in. They brought in the Kaja.
Okay. So the moment I mentioned about Fedrin, it was banned out by smartomega, so they kind of anticipated the XP laner to be somewhat tankier, so they thought about that. And if I were to look at this, so we have the Kaja, who's likely to play the roaming role, and the Matilda is going to play the mid Matilda. We have seen this sort of a mid Matilda gameplay before. It is sort of like a flex pick, but for Kaja, this is going to be interesting though. Now with the Kaja being picked up, then the Roma is definitely not going to be a frontliner. Yeah, Kaja, you can start a fight with the Divine Judgment, you can go for pickoffs, but it's not necessarily like a team fight frontliner. So that the last pick is still going to be an XP later. They need to pick one. The Paquito is already out, and not like Paquito is that tanky. So I'm wondering what else, because even Arlott is out right now, so options are not that many. The last one that I could probably think of is maybe a Yuzong.
Yeah, I think like Yuzong is the most sensible pick coming into the picture as well. Or maybe they're just going to be settling for the Kaja and opt for something absolutely different. But I wonder if this is going to be enough to deal with such a threat coming in from all directions, and they finally found their answer. They want to bring the Martis on board to add a little bit more punch as well as a little bit more of a crowd control in the middle of the fight. So now moving into the final few seconds before we get into the game, well, I want to hear your thoughts on these drafts on both sides.
Wow, okay, I think burnxflash is adapting to the situation, and I'm not sure if it is part of their game plan or they're just forced to do the things that they're probably not going to be comfortable with. Because what I noticed is that the Joy that they picked up first as the third pick, they probably planned it as a jungle Joy because it had the retribution there, but maybe because of looking at, there are not many options, we got to change it up. They switched the Martis to a jungler instead. So Joy is going to be an XP laner. I mean, frankly speaking, I'm not a fan of compositions that do not have good front lines, and it's a little bit worrying for me for burnxflash. So that made me wonder, is that because burnxflash is forced to do the things that they're not comfortable with, moving the Joy into the XP lane and Martis into the jungle. But Martis is a good jungler, by the way. And that would make them lose out on the opportunity of securing like a good frontliner. And I really do wonder how they'll work out. However, the Matilda as a support is really strong. So I would expect to see the Matilda popping off strongly as a support. But I would say that the key here, early game, would definitely be Kaja to find those pickoffs.
That's right, we're already into the land of Dawn as we have a little bit of scramble going on for the buff challenges. D7 really taking very huge control into the jungle, looking for Cramgod, but it's a Chow after all. You're not going to be able to catch him at level 2.
Okay, so here we go. 3 players from burnxflash going in for a little wonder, not allowing smartomega to get that extra bonus. So smartomega with the Baxia, interestingly, no big jungle invasion. So I guess they're respecting their opponent as well, since this is the first game.
That's right, a very steady pacing, but you're looking at burnxflash looking for a pick right here. D7 being so aggressive on this Kaja, and that's exactly what they are looking to do, especially when it comes down to the mid-game phase. This Airtail will have a very huge target on his back as well. So this is where we're going to be seeing where or not the dive will happen. This D7 is just looking for at least one more level before they're going to go in for big pickups.
Right, so here we go, D7, but D7 is not level 4 yet, so I don't expect D7 to really go in at this moment. It'll probably take a while, at least after the first turtle. So with that being said, the turtle will be the main focus at this moment. Now, turtles we started off by Matt, and he's technically alone at this moment, but backup has arrived and they are trying to surround burnxflash.
Oh, they're going to be able to look for the pick, but the Angela comes in to save the day. Now they're going to be pushed and pulled everywhere it goes. Sir Matt still secures the turtle in the end and gets himself the first blood, but the fight's not over just yet as they find Seacat and ATM to cash out.
Aha, there you go. smartomega gets a couple of kills. So it's going to be 3 kills below 3 minutes. This is again another good start for smartomega with about almost a 2k goal lead. And speaking about jungle invasions now, level 5, level 6, this is the moment to go in. But the Divine Judgment comes in and Cramgod will pay for it.
Yeah, great pickoff after all, but they did lose their buff, and Cramgod's just doing a lot of heavy-duty lifting to create that space in order for Sir Matt to be able to retry off not only the turtle early on, now that they also get one buff off. Kima is just going to have a really rough start inside of the jungle. So now over on the side lanes, both sides seem to have stabilized at the moment. So I guess that they're just letting Donut as well as ATM cook up something in return later on. They do have very high hitting chances when it comes down to 5 versus 5s to single out one target, but when it comes down to a full-blown fight coming from multiple directions, you can see that smartomega thrives a lot better.
And we can see a decent amount of action there at mid earlier on. And at the top, well, Lewis all alone, that could be a problem for him. I mean, Lewis as an AD, he's pretty tanky, so he can do it all alone at the top. So it'll definitely be fine. But what I'll be interested to see is that how can KramGod zone out burnxflash, or to what extent? Just because you have the Kaja. So that is going to be a counter to KramGod's zoning. And naturally, as a Cho, you would see a lot of that happening. He would try to be in the front, be as tanky as possible, be as annoying as possible. But if there's a Kaja on the other side, overextension is something that he needs to be careful of.
B7 is not going to be having his ultimate up, and this is where they're going to be able to go right in with the Eagle. And now it seems like they won't be able to just chase them off course. And nothing much that burnxflash could actually do about it, as the turtle is being absolutely zoned out of their favor. Great work coming from smartomega as they create that space and gets a free turtle.
Yeah, I love the hard guard onto Lewis. Came in at the right timing, giving backup for KramGod, and zoned out burnxflash altogether. Easy turtle being picked up by smartomega.
Yeah, now this is where it gets a little bit more worrisome. Already 2,000 down for burnxflash, and they're not able to actually find those form of picks as they want with this Kaja, even though despite having a little bit of a difficulty in the early game, I think that there are still opportunities that they can create over the bottom side as they're looking for Lewis as well. No dives happening just about yet, but for now, smartomega dancing their chances here, because the longer this stage goes in this current state, they're going to be able to thrive in the mid game.
Yeah, and if you kind of think about it, the Irritel Jome, so we did talk about the potential, but hang that thought for a second. At the bottom, it's going to be 3v1. No Divine Judgment, but look at the back line. Here goes KramGod with an attack, a flank from the back, surprise the opponent. Here it is, Donut getting a counter, so Donut will get the kill at the bottom. It was a good surprise, but however, I guess they do not have enough damage to try to take out the members of burnxflash. The idea was there, but the execution was probably not prepared for it.
Yeah, and that was a great way of the Dragon to single out the target, but you can see that the position itself coming in from Lewis wasn't really ideal. It was just waiting for the Angela to come in with a hard card as well. I guess it's all about execution timing. There we go, looking for another one as well. KramGod won't be able to find it, but they did do a chunk of damage against Donut, and will in return find themselves Sea Cat.
Well, I would say that's a good trade there by Sea Cat, because well, as a roamer, hashtag roamers life matter, you would rather sacrifice yourself to get out of this, but the flicker comes in and that saved him.
Yeah, and it seems like he did manage to find his way out with the flicker, thankfully so. And they were also distracted coming from burnxflash that they lost another turtle yet again. Great spacing once more. KramGod in absolute form on this show, despite him being cornered out from 3 different directions. So now it's a 5-stack coming from smartomega to look for the mid turret. We're going to see whether or not can they actually get another catch. Sea Cat's got to be really careful, and here we go, a dive right through. Donut's going to be the target, and this is where they get the Whale Dragon on top of him. KramGod gets another one. Meanwhile, they're all funneling it down over the mid side here. Sea Cat, how much can he do? He's getting chunked down as he will have to back away. smartomega in absolute control, but here goes the pull onto Lewis, and this Edith is not going to last any longer.
A little bit of an overextension there for Lewis onto the back line. He was pretty much all alone, but I guess it was kind of opening up space so that they can take the first turret. I'm not too sure if it's necessary, but hey, it just happened anyway. But what I like about smartomega is that they managed to catch Donut. That is the one hero you want to catch during the team fight phase, because if you don't have your marksman, you don't have your goal laner, they're not going to get free hits from the backline.
Yeah, for the time being, as much as KramGod really seeks them out. And right now, burnxflash, this is their main wolves coming right after that. Hard got onto the rest of them, and they will eventually just back away. Nothing much that they can actually do about Serbat. This is that power of Angela on top of a Boxia where you just can't actually aim that tank. And now burnxflash without heavy front lines, they're starting to really have that struggle of the composition that we did expect early on coming into the draft. Now with the Lord coming into the picture, I think it's really difficult for them to even think about challenging this Lord.
And look at how confident Smart Omega is. Like their item builds, no dominance ice, like Clooney's dominance ice, right? Yeah,
Nope,
we don't need it. No dominance ice, and that's how confident they are of dealing with burnxflash, especially for Shima. Now, speaking about dealing with burnxflash, the Lord is up. It's going to be the first Lord, and the zoning comes in.
Here goes, kicked right onto the Sea Cat, and they're still going for the chase. They're going to be hunting them down. Flicker being popped by Sea Cat as well. They're going for Donut. One down as Joe M will secure it. I think that's about good enough, but over the back, ATM trying to pull them right back into the fight, and this is where they're happy to oblige, but their health bars are not going to be able to favor them when it comes down to the challenge for the Lord. Once more, Sea Cat's going to be back here to see if they can find that steal. Shima, see if you can find a way to get this retro true. Only 50% as they're bidding into another trap being set right up, and Shima immediately melted down like butter. And they can just basically run it back again and again. Smart Omega in total control.
You get Donut, cool. You get Shima during a Lord fight. That is the ultimate objective. And with that, Smart Omega easily takes down the Lord, and it is theirs for the taking. Shima wasn't the one that they want to lose. As long as Shima is still alive, there's still a possibility that he can come in, he can sneak in, and Retribution to steal away the Lord. But the moment he's down, that's free entry for Smart Omega.
Yeah, and I really felt that throughout that course of the battle as well, they were all pretty much tunnel vision onto trying to find that way into the Lord pit, but not really having the priority over in side lanes other than having, you know, Joy in order to actually get the push up. But they do get the pull over onto Lewis. Lewis is gonna hang on tight while he waits for backup to arrive. It will still go down though, as Lewis will eventually bite the dust, but Shima, next one on the chopping block with a Water Dragon, hit upon him, and we'll be able to find that escape for the time being. Joe M falling pretty low, but we'll be safe for now.
But look at this, the Lord is pushing at the bottom lane, so the second turret at the bottom will be taken down thanks to the distraction by Smart Omega in the mid lane, and now burnxflash is forced to defend the bottom lane, opening up space in the middle, and keep your eye at the top.
Yeah, I just absolutely love the macro game sense of Smart Omega. The moment that they see the Lord moving over bomb side, they just create all these form of distraction and just burn all the attention away from burnxflash. So for now, they're just having a lot of space to work with throughout the entire course of the map. I think this game is still pretty much doable for the side of burnxflash, but it definitely requires them to single out one target. That's the only reason that you bring that Kaja on board. But on an Edith, I don't think it's worth it because it takes a lot of time to force her down. And speaking of which, we're going to have another fight coming up.
Oh, here we go. So Lewis is going to be the front line. Lewis, how long can he stand? Looks like Yasa is not that long as Donut at the back line gets free hits, and now he's still continuing on. Matt will be the next one to go down. Double kill given to Donut, and with only 3 players left for Smart Omega. This is time for them to back out.
Yeah, that's how they are supposed to play out this composition. Create that spacing for Donut, and now they will be able to break open the mid turret. And this is where pressure is piling. 2 members down and more to go. They're rushing right through. Super Eagle over the back, and they will find Fab God as well. What a huge statement coming from burnxflash, telling them that you will not disrespect us like that.
To a certain extent, I kind of felt that Lewis went too far ahead, and he was caught out. So a lot of, yes, he did absorb a lot of damage. He is tanky. However, the moment when he went down, then it kind of opened up some space for Smart Omega. And on top of that as well, if we talk about like where they were fighting, it was like in a narrow alley. So if we make the comparison between Iritel and a Bruno has a better range as compared to Iritel, hence giving burnxflash that advantage in the team fight that was happening in that small lane.
That's right. We're on to the side of Lord as well. burnxflash right now, their target will just be that airflow, and once the airflow's down, a lot of the damage will be negated coming in from smartomega. But they're playing it really cool. ADM looking for a target. Joel will find his space and will remain to be safe while the dance for the Lord continues as they will find it full. And this is a huge punishment towards KramGod, who's got nowhere to go to escape, but they will continue on with the fight. Following down over a mid side, looking for Cat as well. This will probably be just it. A little bit of a poke damage all across the board to lower down members of burnxflash as they move right back onto the Lord.
Beautiful divine judgment by D7 to pick out KramGod, and without KramGod, he's the best zoner as a Cho. So without him, their zoning is limited to like only Lewis and maybe even Matt, but you don't want to sacrifice Matt because he is the jungler, the retribution holder in this sort of scenario. And speaking about the scenario, the Lord being started out by a burnxflash, but smartomega is not going to let us go. But look at the position of ATM. He's the one going to the backline, just creating a nuisance for them, waiting for the Lord to go down.
That's right. Meanwhile, this is a little bit more of a defensive position coming from smartomega. They know that there's no going to be much of a commitment coming from burnxflash. Now in the middle of it all, this is where they will bring the hard gun on the table, and Jelen finds all the kills, and they're all following right through. This is bad for burnxflash as they slowly melt in terms of health bars, and that is what they needed. smartomega gets to, and they just actually walk away with the Lord.
Patience gameplay by smartomega. They waited for KramGod to join them in the fight before pushing it back on the burnxflash, and at some point burnxflash was trying to catch the backline, so that means they were kind of open. But now on top, looks like another fight is happening with the turret going down at the same time.
Yeah, they're just so beefy. There's no way that burnxflash could actually melt them down in a matter of seconds for now. 2 inhibitors already taken out, especially with the Lord coming right through as well. This is pretty rough for burnxflash. I really do wonder if they will be able to hold on for much longer. And now we do have a code right on your screen where you can just redeem it, screenshot it if you're on your phone or on your PC. You might just want to hit that pop button for a second to get your in-game profile icon.
Right, so this is starting to be worrying for burnxflash, right? Who is going to be the frontliner? So we did see that, yes, they have the damage, they're able to take out even like Lewis, but if it's onto them, if assuming that smartomega starts the fight onto burnxflash, like who is going to receive the damage and try to protect the backline? So this is a difficult situation for burnxflash. Yes, they can go to the backline of smartomega with the Joy, with the Matilda, but it is tough in the team fight.
And here goes KramGod looking for a target. He's just going to dive right through. And with the Lord coming right in, sure, he may have actually risked his life, but he will be able to come back to life. And there's nothing that burnxflash can do to stop smartomega to claim the first win of the day.
Here we go. Game number 1 goes to